So this is exactly like problem number 4. Confidence is now 90%, sample size 20. So the in-between area will be 90% and the degrees of freedom will be 19. 90% and 19, and we already had StatCrunch open, so chi-square calculator. This will be 19 and 90%, so 0.9 here. So 10.117 and 30.144. Okay, construct a 90% confidence interval for sigma square. So a simple random sample of size n is drawn. Okay, the sample variance is 13.3. Okay, until now we have constructed confidence intervals for proportions. We have constructed confidence interval for means. So remember, for proportions, we use proportion stats. Well, let's write it down. So confidence interval. So we have done confidence intervals for proportions. So for that, we use proportion stats. And then we have done them for means. And if you remember, we use t-stats. And now we will be doing for standard deviation or variance. So we will use variance stats. So for proportions or percentages, we use proportion stats. If we are doing the confidence interval for means, we use t-stats. If we use confidence interval for standard deviation or variance, we do variance stats. Okay, so now here we have to make the confidence interval for variance. Remember, sigma square is the notation for population variance. And so we will have to use variance stats. And sample variance is 13.3. Sample size is 20. 90% confidence interval. So let's go to variance stats, StatCrunch. Okay, so stats, variance stats, one sample with summary. That's what it's usually going to be unless the problem is telling us that it's something else. Okay, so sample variance is given to be 13.3. Sample size was 20. 20. N is the sample size. Okay, and we want a 90% confidence interval. So confidence level is 90. Okay, so our lower bound is 8.383 and 24.978. Oh, 2 decimal places. 24.978 will be 24.98. Now change the sample size to 30 in that. So edit, change this to 30. So 9.06 and 21.78. How does increasing the sample size affect the width of the interval? So you increased the sample size from 20 to 30. So with 20, you had 8 up to 24. And now you start later, you start at 9 and you finish earlier at 21. So this is a shorter interval. 9 to 21 is a shorter interval than 8 to 24. So the width decreases. 98% confidence with sample size 20. Okay. Options edit. So 98% and sample size is 20. And change this to 98. Okay, 6.98, 33.11. And now what has happened? Compare the results with part A. This looks like a wider interval than part A. Part A was 8 to 24. And this one starts earlier at 6 and finishes later at 33. So this is a bigger 6 to 33 is a bigger range than 8 to 24. So now it increases.